Hello everyone, I'm Ankit Raj Pathak, your host for today's Cyber Posture live chat session. A warm welcome and a very happy new year, everyone who has joined today. I hope everyone is safe and in good health. A quick recap. In the last episode, we discussed on decoding cyber risk quantification in BFSI. It was an amazing session with our co-founder and our CTO, Mr. Santosh. As I talk, we have our co-founder and COO for today's episode. Please join me as I welcome Mr. Sehanjan Chatterjee. Hello, Sehanjan. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking out your time.
Hey Ankit, it's been a pleasure joining in these sessions. I think these sessions have been wonderful, and let's hope to have a wonderful session today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we all know the topic for today's session, right? Zeron's strategic compliance edge in BFSI cybersecurity. So, to start off with this session, let's discuss what is strategic compliance and how does Zeron's strategic compliance edge stand out in helping banks and financial institutions secure their digital assets.
So, for the universe, what is compliance basically? So,
Mhm.
compliance is basically a set of guidelines that is set by regulatory bodies or governing bodies for an organization to be cyber secure. Basically, so that all organizations have a standard set of procedures for them to have maintained their security. Now, when we went on a journey of building Zeron, we came from a very hacker-centric point of view. As we went along building this single point of truth for cybersecurity, we realized that essentially for any business leader, the driver for cybersecurity at the very base level has to be compliance. So our main task was joining the technicalities of cybersecurity to its compliance and have a smooth uh, point of view so that the CISOs can maintain those compliances very easily without the huge amount of hassle that they have to face. And that's what we
Right,
are trying to do, and that's where we are using those techniques and
right,
implementing those techniques so that the hassle has to be reduced, and they can actually see the growth in their compliance levels, and also reduce redundancies between various different compliances. So that's where we come along, and that's where Zeron's strategy compliance. So basically, reduce redundancies between the technical implementations and the various compliance frameworks to have that single point of truth in terms of the compliance framework, which is, I think, shown beautifully by a compliance code in our dashboards.
right, right, right. If so, while we have this discussion, if any one of you wants to know anything or you have any questions, kindly comment. We'll surely take it up. Moving on, can you provide a real world example of how Zeron's platform has assisted a BFSI entity in achieving and maintaining strategic compliance?
Yeah, so we have been working with a lot of people, and I will give two examples. One is a fintech unicorn in India, which they had to get a PAPG license, and Xenon, where and this is verbatim, was instrumental in getting those license. How is basically we have a very unique way in which we get the technical controls and the process controls and help them identify where are the gaps and recommend them how to they can easily fulfill those gaps in a hassle free way. Also, what we have realized is a lot of our customers have those controls implemented, but they do not know that this control is already implemented in organizations, and that clarity is provided by our dashboard. And this is one of the reasons they can get what normally takes a 6 months period, maybe
Mhm.
in a month or two, which is a
Right,
huge, which has a very huge impact in terms of their business processes and in terms of their operational hassle. See, in when you are implementing a compliance, it's not about just the cybersecurity team. The
Right.
effects are percolated across teams, and that
Mm.
the more we can make it easier, the more
Right.
business output a company can get out of it.
Got it. Yeah. Right. Right. So that's very interesting to hear. So after this, we all got to know the a prime example of how Zeron helped a company. So how does Zeron ensure that its cybersecurity strategies align with the specific challenges faced by the BFSI industry? So there are a lot of problems faced by industry, right? BFSI industry. So how does Zeron come in the picture?
So challenges are manifold right now.
Right.
In terms of the compliance, if we speak, you can see a lot of companies are facing problems in their data privacy part now,
Mhm.
and also in terms of how they can adhere to the various sectors of compliance. Suppose they have clients in you know, the payments is getting global right now, right?
Yeah.
So we have various compliances and mandates for various sectors. There is obviously the RBI mandates, the SEBI mandates, but there's also GDPR, right? There is also PDP and the DPDP. So there are a lot of governance to be hassled. Now, these these controls and governance are interlinked, but the representation of them are different. Now,
Mhm.
for an organization to, for various business purposes, to get those representations right, to get those documentations right, it's a problem, right?
Right.
But thankfully, what we have done is build our own in-house AI model, which is Zin. It's named after the godfather of AI, Mr. Geoffrey Hindenburg. Now, what Zin basically does is, at a very base level, read across the various documents that a company has built in terms of the processes and technical inputs, and give recommendations. Also, at an elite, at a next level, we are helping organization creating those documents because we already have the data of
Correct.
related to particular organizations who are onboarded with us. So we are helping them create those documents in a hassle-free manner, in an automated manner, if I may say, uh, which gets a lot of work done. Now these are grunge work, like they're the minds of the security personals per se do not have to be engaged in grunge work. Rather than they should more be focused on fighting,
Okay.
thinking about greater ways to fight threats
Right.
and set actors, even which we are as
Absolutely.
a doing. But I think the minds should be focused on greater challenges than what can be achieved with little bit of innovation, little bit of AI, and little bit of representation of data. So that's what we are doing, integrating more of AI so that these kind of work can be reduced, and companies can, engaged in various businesses across the globe and adhere to their compliance framework far more easily. I think this is even as we go through different boundaries in India and in the Asia Pacific region. I think we are starting to see results of this for various customers of ours, and we hope to spread across to other boundaries as well. Uh,
Absolutely.
so let's
Absolutely.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. So the challenges we got to know about the challenges, the like how Xeron helps the PFSI industry. So a little bit of insight into the collaborative features of Xeron and how they contribute to more secure environment with the BFSI sector.
So whenever we are talking about cybersecurity in an organization, it has to be about culture, right? Implementation of any compliance uh, is a process, but it gets easier when you build a cybersecurity culture in the organization. Uh, when we and as we go along in building Xeron, Our focus has been how to smoothly get those implementation done from a senior level to the lowest rungs of an organization. For that, what we have done is uh, create initiatives and manage those initiatives through Zeron.
Right.
Now, those initiatives can be controlled by the CISO or the CIO, whoever is, or the IT head, whoever is handling that main Zeron dashboard, and it can be passed on to the various team members. And those initiatives can be tracked and executed through our dashboard, which actually helps in a collaborative way, so that not only the security teams but everyone can have a feel that they are contributing to the security and defense of the organization, and it creates a more collaborative mindset and culture in an organization that yeah, cybersecurity is important and we are helping in having getting the cybersecurity right for an organization. I think
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what we have always tried to do.
Correct. Correct. So let's take some questions. We have a question from Mr. Francis. He asks, how effective would Zin be able to empower the organization compliance who is going to have their initial framework standards?
I think when an organization has the initial frameworks, standard frameworks with ISO 27001, uh, what it basically does is there are multiple mandate gaps, mandates, and things to be compliance frameworks to be adhered to. There is SOC, there is PCI, there is
Mhm.
GDPR, etc. Right? What Zin basically does is first of all map the mandate gaps, give a comment on that, empower the organization to how they can fill in those mandate gaps.
Right.
Also create standard documentations for those other frameworks, which basically is tracked back to those ISO, because ISO is uh, it's huge, humongous, and
Right.
basically
Right.
all the other mandate gaps can be tracked back to ISO 27001.
Hmm.
And that's basically where the Zen comes in. So you don't have to get those tracking done, and this control is tracked back to the control number N of PCI. Zen does that for you and gives you those documented framework which you can use for your PCI DSS compliance or your SOC 2 compliance, etc. So
Right.
you get the work, you get do the work once, and it's replicated on and on again in the later stages.
Right. The next question we have from Mr. Aitur. He says, how does the organization manage the integration of new technologies and innovations while ensuring compliance with existing and emerging regulatory frameworks in the BFSI sector?
See, whenever we are onboarding a new technology or a new vendor, it may be a new tool, we are inheriting the inherent risk of that vendor or tool. What Zeron as a platform and going forward we are doing is trying to incorporate and at least identify what risk we are inheriting, and those and that holds true for compliance risk as well. So when we are inheriting those risks, identifying those risks and showing those risks to the dashboard, then they're also showing how to mitigate those risks, how we can mitigate those risks, and that helps in at least an organization to identify that yeah, this is the risk and how we can mitigate them, and we can have those measures implemented. Or if the implementation of those measures are not possible, at least we know that we have to implement this measure at certain point of time. So
Correct.
recognizing there is a problem is very important. Sometimes we onboard a tool just on the face value, and
Right.
we do not recognize what risk we are taking in, which is never a good idea. We should never onboard
Correct.
something at face
Absolutely.
value, and that's
Yeah.
what we do help organization have an informed decision making.
Correct. 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 So we have a question from Mr. Sanket. He says, do you compliance is enough?
What he means
Okay.
to say is, do you
Okay.
think
Yeah.
compliance is enough?
Compliance. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, compliance, there is in cybersecurity, nothing is enough. But when you are compliant, you have set a baseline. We have the implementations done. Attacks will always
Mhm.
happen. You cannot stop an attack. But you
Right.
have done your work in preparation of those attacks. And what compliance does is get you prepared for the attacks to happen. And of course, this is a cybersecurity is a continuous process. Compliance just gets the benchmarking done for you and gets you prepared if an attack, if compliance is followed to the T. However, if compliance is followed for the sake of compliance, just getting the documentations done,
Yeah.
getting those
Yeah.
done, then it will never be enough. It will never be even 1%.
It's very self-explanatory. So, Sanket, Mr. Sanket actually wanted to ask, do you think compliance is enough? Right.
Yeah.
So, um, moving on to the last question I have for you from my side. So, after a successful year 2023, right? So, what are the goals set for this year? And if you can just run through the roadmap for 2024.
Well, the ingrained DNA of our team and Zeron is we're never satisfied with ourselves. Whatever we do, we are not very happy at what we are doing. There's always a thought process that we are not doing enough. And I think the goal ahead is how we can have bigger innovations, how to get the newer threats, because cybersecurity is a rabbit hole of threats, and how to get those threats and challenges, how to tackle those things, and how at a very senior level, at a very uh, I would say not only in organizations level, but in terms of geopolitical situations, how we can actually help people quantify those risks and give them the mitigations of those risks. I think building Zeron to be a statement in terms of risk quantification and risk mitigation is very important for us. And it's going to be a continuous journey. If we think we have already done our bit with the technology, uh,
Mhm.
we are going to be lagging behind. And there are state actors, threat actors who are just going to give us a run for our money. So, not being
Right.
satisfied is one of the key goals, and building those technology stacks that will help the CISOs across the globe to get those informed decision making done. I think that's important for us, and that's what we plan to do. And I think
Right.
the business expansions would follow that. The focus is on the problem at hand, and the better we
Right.
solve the problem, the better the business will go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so I think this is it from the questions I had and questions I had gotten from the comment section. Any words you want to words for the audience or like anything you want to sum it up like?
I think to sum it up, well, compliance, security, all these kinds of things are a very uh, mindset oriented. As I said earlier, it's a cultural thing.
Right.
It's a practice thing. Ki you don't save your passwords in your browser. So these kind of things needs to be ingrained more in the cultural aspects of the people.
Right.
The weakest link in the organization chain are the human beings, right?
Right.
So our approach and everyone's approach should be to learn and have those cultures ingrained, so that we can get everything done in a smoother way. Ultimately, the thing is, we do not want our nation's data, people's data, organization data to go to the hands of the wrongdoers and threat actors. And
Correct.
this uh, this way of defending our data has to be from very ingrained from ourselves, and not just no, this is a task I need to do. That kind of an attitude has to be removed, and we have to ingrain that culture of security. So that's what my parting words would be.
So also, correct me if I'm wrong. So there's also an awareness gap, right? So like awareness is also one big factor which we have to create in the market.
Yeah, I think that's what we are trying to do with these cyber posture webinars. We are trying to create more and more awareness more than anything else. And I think we should welcome everyone to do these kind of things and also join us in these cyber posture events so that we can create more awareness. Ultimately, awareness is the key to handling security.
Right,
And
right,
that should be the goal for all of us.
correct. So one last question we have from Mr. Sanket. He asked, "What's your opinion about compliance versus compliance certification?"
I think compliance certification has become kind of I think, a fake degree of, just showing to the world that yeah, we are compliant, while most of the risks are being transferred to the users. We had a great the discussions with lot of gentlemen of governing bodies where they say a lot of organizations are not adhering to the security protocols and rather passing on the risk to the users. Now certification will only get you thus far, enabling you thus so far, but when an incident happens, all skeletons are going to lay bare, and there even the governing bodies are going to have will judge you for how you got your certifications. So even the
Correct, correct,
people who just give on their certification without actually auditing properly should see that the right things are being done. If you are not compliant, you are not compliant, and getting that extra effort done in getting the compliance done is, I think, a better way than to just somehow get those compliance certifications with an X amount of money. So yeah, it will ultimately the pack of cards will fall at some day if you just keep on
right.
getting
Makes
certifications.
sense. Yes. So I guess that is it. Thank you, Snehanjan, for joining and giving us this insightful session. And
Thank you, Ankit.
we hope to create awareness like this in the coming episodes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So that was it from today's episode, guys. As we all saw and heard, uh, stay aware, like do your own homework, and we hope to come up with these insightful and more interesting episodes for you guys. And so don't miss any update and follow us on our channels. You'll get an update of everything we are doing. That is it from my side. I hope to see you in the next episode. See you on.